Hey guys, welcome out to the range. I'm getting ready to run the Overland course, and the first thing I'm going to do is clear out, see all the oil on that bolt carrier group? Because I'm a lefty, when I pull the trigger, it goes in this direction, and I don't want it to soil the camera. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear out some of that oil. That's better. That's less likely to barf oil onto the camera and ruin the shot. I shot this gun with my wife out here with some friends. When was that? Sunday, and today's Tuesday, and we put a fair amount of rounds through this one and my wife's, and all I had time to do before I came out was just get some oil in the gun and just kind of like work it a little bit. So it's not as crunchy as it should be considering how dirty it is. But that's why Lucas Extreme Duty gun oil works so well. I don't really have any major anything to discuss with you guys today, and you'll notice that the camera is in a weird position right now, because instead of having a mounted tripod position, an extended tripod position, where the camera, instead of being at 5 foot whatever, I don't even know what that would be. I'm 6'4". The camera is normally up here to give you guys the broader picture of what it is that I'm doing, because my height to me is not that big a deal. And so when people meet me at trade shows, they're like, holy crap, you're much bigger than you look on your videos. Yeah, because my camera is normally about 7 feet up. But anyways, enough jaw jacking, let's get going. This bag is reaching a little on the uncomfortable side. It is legit loaded. RMJ Tactical Tomahawk, 32 ounces of water with hydration, liquid IV in it. Medical, backup medical as well. What I mean is a full medical kit with a ready grab type of, like a Israeli bandage, I think is what it's known as, but it's not an actual Izzy, but it's similar. What else do I have in here? Extra rifle mags, extra batteries, lighter, knife sharpener. I've got a camouflage net that I can throw over my body if I want to like hang out in some of the tall grass. And also it's something you want to practice, because if you drape a mesh net over yourself and you're trying to look through it, if it's not close enough to your eyes, it's difficult to look through. So consider that. If you're going to be using one of those, it's something you really do have to practice with. What else do I have in there? Fair amount of crap. I've also got my sidearm, and then I've got my side rig with pistol, rifle, flashlight. Think of anything else? Bunch of stuff. The point is, this bag. Oh, I've also got a food pack, condensed food, 2 days, or I'm sorry, a full day's worth of food in here. Mostly because I'm just practicing actually carrying all the crap that I would have to carry in case I found myself having to carry this stuff, which is the whole point of the Overland course. It gives you the practice of carrying what one would consider a combat load without going too over the top, but giving you the practice of maneuvering with the weapon and all the gear, because having this much load on your person does change the dynamics of how you move with something. And when you shoulder your rifle and rotate to another target, that bag just shifted when I did that. So blah 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 blah. Let's address the first thing, which I think is kind of comical. You see that triangle bandage on my belt? When people see that, they think that I'm trying to be Pat Mac. I've never trained with Pat Mac. I have nothing against the guy. I think he's interesting and he's very learned. But I'm not trying to mimic Pat Mac. I grew up in Florida mowing lawns. And when you mow lawns, you've always got a towel right there. And up until I discovered triangle bandages, I used to just have towels there. In fact, I used to have a terry cloth towel that had one of those hooks, that a hook grommet, and it was actually a gift from Springfield Army years and years ago when I was a magazine writer, and I love that towel. Always had a towel there. Wipe your hands, do a quick wipe down of your camera if you need to, if you've been out in the rain. Because these cameras are very old school SONY HDR AS-15s, and they're not waterproof, which is why they sound as good as they do. They're like rain resistant-ish. Honestly, I couldn't even imagine that these even have an IPX rating. Like, they're old school. But I love them, which is why I use them. And so, anyways, the point is, I've always got a triangle bandage hanging off of my belt, which comes in very handy for all the different things that I have to do. I routinely wear my rifle for hours on end, and it does not wear me out right here, which is where most rifle slings will wear you out, which is why most rifle slings have shoulder pads. Mine don't, because they don't need them. First shot is a 100-yard shot. I had some friends out the other day to come and shoot, just kind of like, just piddle around and get some trigger time in. And I really, really wish that I had not started them at 300 yards, because honestly, that was overkill. I really should have started them at 100 yards so they could have some successes, and then push them out next time to like 150 or 175 or whatever. We had a little bit of success when we came in from 300 to 200, because 300 yards is asking a lot out of a person who has like literally never shot an AR-15. Yeah, I thought that second shot was a little bit high. I'm on the last 2 rounds of this magazine, so instead of doing swapping out, I'm just kind of running through ammo, because I'm getting ready to transition from a whole bunch of M193 to a case of Black Hills 55 grain that I've had almost for 10 years. My goal today is not to stop on any of these hills. This backpack is heavy. You guys are gonna have to take me at my word, but I am not stopping on this hill, because I'm not gonna make you watch the whole way up. 300-yard mark coming up. Oh man, that guy's in shadow. I can barely see him. Well, at least I got one hit out of that. I'm gonna try another one. I really cannot see that target is sitting in shadow. I can already tell the difference on this ammo. This is Black Hills. You can actually tell from the primer. This is M193, red, waterproofing compound, and that's Black Hills. Has waterproofing compound, but not quite as stark. 223, 556. Higher pressure than that I can tell in the gun. So I'll be curious to see if the gun, excuse me, will even run. In fact, let's just do this. Let's take 2 rounds out. I've got 1 on the chamber. Let's see how this does on lockback. Because this gun does not have an adjustable gas block. It actually operates off of the standard gas system with an H1 3.8 ounce buffer. This is an Aero Precision lower using a BCM spring and a standard BCM H buffer. So we'll see how the gun behaves with 223. Because these barrels, 13.7s, I'm fairly certain are from the same run that were made for Sons of Liberty Gunworks, because they're gassed very gently as opposed to the overgassing that most manufacturers want out of their barrels. All right, we got lockback. Put that empty mag where it goes. Draw the next mag out, which comes from the far left. Actually, that's a Lancer Warfighter. My belt rig is designed specifically for Magpul Gen 2s. So we are going to store this magazine. And the way you get into your backpack, do not put your gun down. This is an OD green gun. Do you think I want to be putting it down in this environment? Come out of the sling on the support hand side. Undo the chest piece. Come off on one side or the other, dealer's choice. Swing it around your support gear on your belt and grab the bag solidly. Then support the bag from its shoulder straps. I'll tell you why in a second. Open the bag up. Slide in the empty mag. And then actually get some water while you're at it. Just a little swig. Because when you're out putting in miles, you don't want to be chugging water. For the person who's asking right now, why not a Camelback? This bag is actually rigged for a Camelback. And I used to have a Camelback in it. Hang on a minute. So, bag back on, lean forward to create room on the sling. Get the bag strap, chest strap under the sling. Get back into the sling. Check full range of motion. Verify your safety is active, or verify your safety is on. Verify your mag is properly seated. And then you can do whatever else you want to do. Okay, hydration bladder in the bag. I chose not to run one because a year or two ago I did run one in this bag because this bag is pre-rigged. This is the Gryphon EDC by US Palm, and it is pre-rigged for a hydration bladder. So I was like, yeah, get it off. It even has little cutouts up here somewhere, I think it is, for the actual tube to just come right out of the strap, and then you run it here to trap it so it doesn't get all tangled up in your rifle. So I was like, get some, and I had my bag all set up, and I was out here, putting in the miles. And I stopped at one point to get something out of the bag, and everything in the bag was wet. Now, this was not some Amazon knockoff. This was a Camelback hydration bladder. Bruh. What I found was the large mouth opening on the bladder that has that twist lock, great big opening thing. It goes, you place and rotate, and it goes click. Didn't have enough rotations, enough thread, and the O-ring. And this is not an old setup. This is a very nice, good condition setup. It had flexed. In fact, I found that day when I took it out of the bag and aerated the bag and dried everything and oiled the items that needed oiling, I started inspecting what the deal might be, and what I found was that the hydration bladder held its integrity just fine until you put load on it. So when you placed load on the hydration bladder, it began to go and hiss air. But when the water would hit, it would stop because water can't really be compressed like air can. But then when you grab the collar, the collar that the cap screws into, and you just squeezed it and did a little twist like that, it would go and it would start oozing water. And I went, nice! So how does that even make any sense? If you have a hydration system that isn't exactly cheap, and it's barfing water on everything, what's the point in that? So once I discovered that little truth, I went to the to an Nalgene bottle, and recently I purchased this Nalgene bottle from REI because it has a very narrow mouth on it as opposed to the great big gaping hole that most Nalgene bottles have. That's the target I was just shooting at. The great big Nalgene bottles with a big opening, when you try to take a drink out of them, especially when you're fatigued and you got the quivers, you'll barf all that stuff all over yourself. It'll just rush out of the bottle. And the last thing you want is sticky hydration solution getting all over your equipment, getting all over you. And because there's salt and a lot of these hydration, liquid IV has a salt element to it because that's part of what we shed off when we're out exerting ourselves. So you have to replenish that. Well, the last thing you want is salt going on this, even if it doesn't rust anything, because most modern day AR-15s have all kinds of coatings that preclude them from rusting easily. Man, the last thing you want is salt and sugar compounds crystallizing on the glass of your optic and causing visual problems. So I said, nopity nope no. I'm going to answer the question that I always have about shooting from the knee, is which knee goes down first to be most efficient. And the way to remember it is, for me, I'm a lefty, so left hand shooting knee goes down first, and then I roll my foot underneath my butt and I sit on it. Then I lean forward with my support hand and my support elbow into my right knee, and I get in the most relaxed position possible. Let's turn my optic down a little bit. It. Ooh, click. Oh, snap. I think that was an edge hit, but I'm not sure. Guys, this case, like I told you, is 12 years old. There it is. Yeah! Man, no slight at all against Black Hills Ammunition, and I mean it. This case of ammunition has been forced to live in my garage. This case of ammunition has been forced to live in the attic, in a very hot, humid attic. So the fact that I got a click versus a bang, I'm cool. Yeah, I'd say that round is good and dead. The owner of Black Hills Ammunition, back when I was a magazine writer and they used to support me with ammo, once said, actually no, I already shot that twice. She once said to me, if ever you get a click rather than a bang, I want you to send that round to me. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, I want that round, like that bullet. She said, our quality control is so strict, we want to know why that round has failed. Now, Christy, if you're watching this, don't fret. Like I said earlier, this is a 12-year-old case of ammunition that you sent me ages ago when I was a magazine writer. So there is no way in the world that I'm even remotely disheartened by the fact that I have no doubt that I'm going to be getting clicks rather than bangs out of this ammunition. It has been exposed to temperature extremes and humidity extremes over the years. I'm perfectly fine with any malfunctions that I might get out of this. I can already tell in the recoil impulse that the ammunition has lost a fair amount of potency from just sitting about for so many years. Let's see if the sun has hit that target on the hill yet, so I can get a better sight picture on it. Let me see if I have anything on my list of subject matters to talk with you guys about. Oh yeah, that's actually a good one. When the instructor says, everybody reach for your light. Nah, that thing is still in shadow. Let's face it, guys, if you can't see what you're aiming at, don't be shooting at it. And that's what I've got going on here. I can't see that target very well. Once again, see how the gun bounces? It's the bungee. It's eating the weight of the rifle. I don't feel it on my neck at all. I'm telling you guys, my slings do not need shoulder straps. I do like the fact that Black Hills ammunition shoots a lot cleaner than most other ammo. I don't have that stink biting me in the nostrils. I'm going to tell you how much it's eating me not to bend over and pick up brass, but I want to keep moving. This is the path that I drive with very little deviation. I don't want this stuff ending up in my tires. Back to M193. I have to admit, I did not realize that the Black Hills had actually gotten that weak. But that's okay. Not that big a deal. If I haven't already mentioned this, when you're working with a bag, don't yank on zippers. Because, see right here, this bag is really old, like 2011. Yeah, like 2011 kind of old. No, I'm sorry, 2009 or 2010. And I've stitched it back up, the zipper on the corners. Because before I fully understood how to treat bags properly, I was always yanking on zippers and stuff. And just tearing up my gear because, you know, when you're a magazine writer, you get everything for free, don't you know? Until you realize there's no free lunch. And you eventually owe that manufacturer an article for the gear that they've sent you. It gets really sticky when you have to, you know, give a bad report on something. Let's keep going. It's interesting how your shot will decay. We are at roughly 110, 115 yards from that thing. Anyways, it's interesting how your shot will decay at distance because your ammunition has dropped in pressure. I don't really know why I'm surprised by that, because it's, you know, basic physics. Oh look, another hill. I know I've mentioned this before, but my wife is training for a half marathon right now, and she's got all of the different nutritional and hydration supplements, and she turned me on to Liquid IV, and man, I gotta tell you, that stuff has impressed me. When you take in Liquid IV with water, it stays in your system longer it helps your cells be more efficient at absorbing water. That's checking the bolt, if you're wondering. When the bolts get hit enough times, the heads begin to go loose, and then you have to replace them. If not, if a head comes off and a bolt strikes the hole, those are carriage bolts, and a bolt strikes the hole, the square hole, it can ding the edge and ruin the target's ability to accept another carriage bolt. You know what? Let's take that shot. There's a lot between me and that target, but let's take that shot. Let's put a tree behind it. Oh man. Honestly, I don't know if it's gonna make it. Nah. Way too much foliage between me and that target. There's a shot right between the trees. That's a hit. All those little branches will deflect your round. Lately I've been hiking this trail far more than driving it. Not because it's not drivable, but because it's a great hike. On Sunday, I had the opportunity to come out here with my wife and our daughter's dressage instructor and her husband, and man, we had so much fun. Shooting is such a fun family sport. If you have the opportunity, if you have knowledge and you have land and you have the heart and the opportunity to share both, do so. Because people need fun places to shoot with knowledgeable people. Because when I hear about all the rules and regulations that are required to shoot at an established range, it reminds me why I don't like shooting at established ranges. Nah, it's too far away. There's a target way out there and I just don't want to risk it. Let me check something real quick. I don't recall if I have a spare mag or if I've already brought it down. Sweet! Yep, that's it. For those who've not heard this, I always like to keep a spare mag in reserve. Just in case when I'm heading back to the vehicle I run into trouble of the two-legged or four-legged kind. I've had some trouble with the hunters out here. Well, I'm not, guys, I know I'm going to step on toes in saying this. I do not understand why so many hunters have a burr under their saddle about hunting on somebody else's land. Good God Almighty. The constant pissing match that is dealing with hunters at times. They act like the world owes them something. Whatever. Down there in that hollow, or holler as we say here in Tennessee, there is a ground effect, or an effect of groundwater where it swirls like in a kitchen sink and it just disappears into the ground. What did I just trip over? The water swirls and goes right into the ground, and the owner of this property told me, be careful when you're out here. I don't want you falling into any caves. this whole area of Tennessee is known for its cave system. So yeah, you've got to be careful. Oh, this is just calling me too much. All right, let's get set up. I've got 2 targets in the distance. One there, one over there. Oh, sure, why not? Nah, can't make that shot. Now we'll just do this. Understand that what I'm going for isn't just a shot. I'm aiming for a very specific spot. I want those rounds to just be centralized on that target, because every round you launch, there's an attorney attached to it. And all I want to hear is ding, rather than... My wife and I are going on a date tonight. We're going to go watch David Foster and I believe it's Catherine McPhee. Guys, whenever possible, date your wife. Take her out for a nice meal. Take her out to a concert. Treat her like a queen. And she will never leave you. Of course, assuming that your wife loves you, you know, reciprocates the amount of effort that you put into the relationship. There he is. Wow. That measly little branch actually deflected my round. That is just sad. That's downright therapeutic. I have this constant habit of looking for casings. And by the way, my wife said it too. She goes, it is so addicting finding all these casings on the ground and picking them up. And I went, thank you. So satisfying. It's been a while since I've said this, so for those of you who are new and have never heard this, when you're shooting on steel, when you're training on steel, and you see, witness, feel the hit on that plate, and trust me, everything I just said plays into it. Like, there's a sensory feedback you get from steel that you can get from nothing else. When that plate sings and lets you know that you've hit it, within 300 milliseconds of witnessing that hit, your brain creates a new neural pathway and labels it success. And the next go around that you're doing a given task like that, you will have a file in your brain that you'll be able to draw from. If you're wondering why I'm trying to clear this, branches like this will rub at your paint and cause paint damage. Anyways, when you witness that hit, your brain creates a new neural pathway within 300 milliseconds. And to give you an idea of how fast that is, that's the blinking of a human eyelid is 300 milliseconds. So in that time, your brain recognizes what it has done correctly, creates a new neural pathway, labels it success, and stores it, and allows you to access that knowledge almost immediately, well, probably immediately, in the grand scheme of your ability to measure time. Oh, totally forgot. I'm busy talking and I'm walking up on targets. So that action that I just did right there is something that I'm able to later access, because I've made it a point of, by the way, empty mag. If you don't want to store it and you have room in your chest rig, move it over as far left as you can. Draw your furthest left mag, put that one farthest right because I load from my right hand, and then the empty mag goes over. Or you can do it the other way around first. There, see, I saved you getting in the comment section and acting all hot pockets. So anyways, when you create that memory, you can go back later and draw from it. And the more you do it, the more you stack that. And I was at a class a while back, and myelination was talked about, and then I talked about it in a video, and an actual brain surgeon jumped in the comment section and educated me. So I will simply mention that given enough repetitions, the act of myelination occurs to the memory engrams, or to the neurosurgeon who jumped in the comment section. I'm getting the verbiage wrong, but I'm getting the gist of it correct. You're taking, it's like riding a bike. If you learn how to ride a bike as a child, newsflash, you can go for years on end and not ride a bike. Pick up a bike and immediately ride it. Why? Because as a child, you took that memory and you so deeply ingrained it that it's there permanently, and you'll be able to access it when you want to. Clearly I need to get out here and do some more spray painting on those targets. I really need to set a target on this path right here. That'd be a fun shot. You could actually prone out right here and go at it. I know I've mentioned good hearing protection. You know what? I am going to move that target. Stand by. I am going to move that target so that the next go around, I'm actually able to enjoy it. Sunday I was out here with my wife, our daughter's dressage instructor, and her husband, and I gave the three of them this hearing protection, my MSA Sordens, and they all remarked on how amazingly clear the audio quality was. And you know, I told them where you can buy them and all that. And anyways, it reminded me that I need to remind you guys of that too. The fine folk at AIM Surplus are now carrying the MSA, well, the Torsion Supreme Pro X, which is my favorite. That's what I'm wearing right now. And it is truly the pinnacle hearing protection. Let me be clear. It is pinnacle hearing protection for the under $500 price point. These are not communications headsets with the comms mic and all that jazz. These are just good quality earmuffs that give you solid protection at a price point that is actually survivable. So I want to make sure that people understand that when I say that, I'm talking about, you know, a price point you can save for, you can maybe get them on sale. So yeah, I've had them for years. By the way, here's the target. That'll be the shot that I get now. That's well over 200 yards. I'm looking forward to that. I've had 3 pair of these for years. I bought the first pair from SRS Tactical. Paid for it by selling brass on eBay? Yeah, on eBay. And then a couple weeks later, the gentleman from SRS Tactical contacted me and he said somebody returned a pair of Sordens would you be interested in them? And I said, what's wrong with them? And he said, they put some kind of adhesive or something on one of the hearing cups. They were probably trying to stick something to it. It did something weird to the surface, but aside from that, they're 100% functional. I said, heck yeah. So they gave me this like crazy deal on them. So I sent them to me, and I've owned them ever since. And those two pair are now, oh, did I hit a bolt? No, I hit near a bolt. Don't hit the bolts. Ding, ding. Those two pair are the originals, bought just a couple of months apart. Sword and Supreme Pro X. When MSA took over several years ago, they dumbed down the product, and they were nowhere near as good. Sword took back over, and the quality has gone back up, but the chips aren't exact. There's some scuttlebutt as to why. I'm going to leave it out of the video. The point is, today's Swordens are good. They're darn near these, and I would absolutely tell you, yes, buy them. I did see what I think is an Amazon knockoff a few months ago at a class, and they were pretty raggedy. You could tell by the design of them, by the execution of the design, because the design was a direct knockoff to these. By the way, I'm just going to say this. This backpack sucks. Oh my goodness. I once read somewhere that once the load exceeds like 25 pounds or something, combat effectiveness goes in the garbage can. Which is why I no longer wear plate carriers. I know, the comment section is going to get dumb now. But having been a police officer who wore armor as part of his day-to-day life, I can tell you that you do not want to be wearing armor for a protracted period of time if you can avoid it. And so I had a really nice plate carrier a couple years back with polyethylene plates, and I just sold it because I realized that even with the PE plates, which are the lightest way to go, I was still dealing with a fair amount of weight and then having to add everything else to it. And with all honesty, if you want to go a nice lightweight setup, fine. You know, get a plate carrier, just don't put any plates in the thing because they're perfect for load bearing. But keep this in mind, and I've already shown this before. If you need to get into something in your backpack, and your backpack is integrated on the back of your plate carrier, you're coming out of the entire system to get to that one thing. Whereas if you've got a chest rig, as you guys have seen me earlier in this video, if you got a chest rig, the chest rig stays in place, the backpack comes off, the rifle even stays in place. You get what you need, the bag goes back on, and off you go. And you never have to get out of your rifle or your chest rig, so please consider that. Do what you want, I don't care, but you know, I wanted to give you guys that piece of advice. Save yourself money. This chest rig that I'm using is the Seeker 612, S-I-C-E-R, short incursion chest rig, 6/12, 612. Made by First Spear. They are no longer made, however, I believe you can still find them on eBay. And if so, I would suggest you get one because they are my favorite chest rig. I've not tried the stuff from T.REX arms because I know what that design is and I know what it's about. And I know what they're doing, and I think it's freaking brilliant. I'll leave it at that. I mean, it's the Botkin brothers. They are not dumb. And by the way, do yourself a favor. You need to also look up Jeffrey Botkin, their father. He's got a series of videos that are phenomenal. especially if you are raising children in this toilet bowl culture that we're in. So consider the success of the Botkin brothers and consider the man who raised them. So, that's my 2 cents on things for the day. I'm heading back up to the 300-yard shooting position to get another 2 or 3 hits on target. We'll go all the way to the bottom. I will play this out the way it's supposed to be done. Actually, you know what? No, because I'm running tight on time today. I'll finish at the 300-yard mark and call it a day. Love it. 3 solid hits. It is quite interesting how the atmospheric pressures change things and sometimes change how you hear things, because that first shot I thought was a miss, but then I realized no, that was a ding, because the Hearing Pro by design has to decay the sound a little bit, otherwise it's not protecting you. And so it decays that sound very briefly and then brings it back up again. And so I found it interesting that, typically speaking, oh my goodness, oh, I feel like I could go do the long jump with that thing off my back. Anyways, typically speaking, I can hear that sound better than I can right now, than I could just a moment ago. Hang on, let me move this camera. I realized that that camera was in the sun. Typically speaking, I can hear that better through my Hearing Pro. I could still hear it. It just sounded different than normal. And by the way, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I learned a long time ago that when you're working during the day and you've got all your gear on and all of your stuff is actually active, meaning you've not removed batteries out of your lights, but like you're running like real deal setups. And yeah, I just muzzled the camera. You'll be okay. Get over yourself. Mom has your hot pockets. If you accidentally turn on a light and you begin to feel a hot spot on your leg, on your hip, you better pull your light and you better check, because I have been known to accidentally activate a light and get a holster really hot. LEDs will get hot. They don't get as hot as incandescents, or incandescent tungsten. But yeah, they will get hot. So anyways, Hearing Pro. Atmospheric pressure changes how Hearing Pro does its job. But I could hear the hits, which is cool. So anyways, thanks for coming along on this one. I really enjoyed it. I really like having you guys along and just sharing tidbits of knowledge, because people have made mention of that several times in the comment section, that they enjoy the knowledge that I share with you guys. One last little tidbit for those of you who are new to the channel and have never heard me say this. This is a real deal aim-point T1. This is really no different than the T2 or the Acro, well, the new Acro, or really anything else that Aimpoint makes. Years and years ago, all of the media, all of the paperwork on this optic, let's say 5 years of continuous use, yeah, on setting 8. Once you take it to setting 9 or above, I dialed it back to 9 for the 300-yard shot. But if I'm working in daylight, it's at level 10. Take it back to 8 right now, because this is here, let me finish the thought. Once you exceed 8, the optic goes from a 5-year, 50,000-ish hour runtime to 10 months. And I coined the phrase, I forget when, years ago, in an article that I wrote, the trade show setting. It then ended up being adopted across the industry, known as the trade show setting. And I was actually the originator of that, which I think is kind of cool. I wrote it in an article, and I forget which magazine it was for. But anyways, that ended up getting adopted, and I called out the manufacturer in a video that I did years ago, and I'll see if I can find it for you guys. I called out Aimpoint, and other manufacturers for that matter, on erroneous battery life listing, data that they'd put out there, because nobody works with any optic. 8 is a nominal setting, which is why I called it the trade show setting. If you go to SHOT Show and you pick up any rifle in the Aimpoint booth, that thing is going to be on 7 or 8. Once you take it outside, you got to dial it up to 9 or 10, or sometimes even 11, depending on what you're doing. And those batteries will die within months, which is why when I'm not running this optic, which I'm pretty much done with this rifle for the day, I'll just dial it back to pretty much nothing, because in a pinch I have my hard sights zeroed at 100 yards, just like my optic. And the second you hit that light and you zap 800 lumens downrange, you are going to crisply see your landmarks on your sights. And at bad breath range, all you are doing is putting this chunk of metal in proper alignment with this chunk of metal and centering it in the great big ball of light in the middle and just pumping rounds into the bad guy. There's really no aiming involved, it's just reactive shooting. But for the standpoint of the optic, if you're not maintaining the optic's batteries, you're in trouble. I forgot the point I was making. So what I do is, this optic says 1123. No hash marks, no slashes, nothing. It's 1123. And what that tells me is November 2023. And so next November 2023, or 2020, I'm sorry, this November 2024, this battery, along with all the other batteries on all my other optics, gets pitched, gets replaced. I then take a fine Sharpie and I write on the battery inside the optic 1124. And then, because I have 1123 here and here, so if they should rub off, I can at least open it and find out how long the battery's been in service. And then swap them out once a year. Why? Because I have enough rifles that I don't shoot one particular rifle consistently. If I did, I'd be swapping it out probably every 6 months. But I have found that 1 year solid service with the optic dialed back to nothing between uses gives me more than enough battery life that I can just move forward. And it's something for you guys to consider. Same with your weapon lights, whether it be rifle or handgun. And by the way, this is the same. The Surefire X300 UB is on my rifle and also on my handgun. Why the UB and not the UA? Because the UB has a tension screw on it that you can tighten down, and you can tell very easily if that screw has moved, and this screw has not moved. So it allows you to manage your light on your long gun or your handgun easier, because the UA is a slot mount system and has a little bit of wobble to it, and it always leaves you kind of on edge, like, is that going to work itself loose? Whereas this would require so many revolutions to back itself off before it comes loose enough to fall off, that you can usually reach down. You guys couldn't tell because I was running off this camera, but whenever I'm managing this, or whenever I'm handling this rifle and I'm cramming it around trees and whatnot, when it comes back to my person, guys, I'm checking stuff. Like, I'm making sure things aren't moving. Everything is Loctited except this, because this has its own tension system. But Loctite, 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 because I don't want to, actually Loctite front sight, I don't want to lose things. And my guns are always built with torque wrenches anyways, and then my accessories are put on with torque wrenches. So actually, that was the point that I started the video off with, so that I don't lose things. I started the video off by telling you guys about when you go to training and your instructor says, everybody reach for your light and activate it. And the reason they will have said that is they have just found a light sitting on the ground. Guys, I've witnessed this. Go to class, the instructor finds the light on the ground, or you find a light on the ground, you hand it to the instructor. And the instructor then says, everybody reach for your light and activate it. And you are gonna get one guy, or possibly two, who goes, oh shit! And then he realizes his light is gone. Imagine how horrific that is on an environment like this. I wouldn't even know where to begin to look for that light if it's gone. Which is why proper torque specifications, like my lights are torqued to about 20 inch-pounds. Guys, that's a lot of stank on a screw. But I want to make sure that that light doesn't go anywhere. Now, I'm not going to Loctite this light. I mean, I could. It's not that big a deal. Loctite isn't like the end-all, be-all, you know, end of creation kind of locking mechanism. It is an anti-vibration compound to keep an object from coming loose. But when you use a torque specification, all you have to defeat is the 20 inch-pounds that I have on this light to get past that Loctite. And that Loctite is not going to hold as tightly as you think it is. All it's doing is holding your torque spec for you. So I hope you're understanding that. It's just holding things in place from where you put them. And it just saves you from being the guy who has to go, "It's my light." And I've seen that, guys. I've seen that, and I've almost become that guy. Back when I was a magazine writer and I was really new and I was just like beginning the acquisition of things that were needed to do the job, I was having to make do with a rifle. Battery died, so I had to swap it out. I was having to make do with sometimes a rifle, a handgun, and then like a small handful of accessories and support pieces to cobble together articles, because magazines, whoa, there's something crawling on me. Magazines are not in the practice of truth, they're in the practice of product promotion. Magazines are not driven by editors-in-chief, they're driven by the advertising departments who are looking for pages of advertising being sold to manufacturers of doodads. And so their job is to sell as many pages of ads as possible, and magazine writers are funneled. Guys, this is why I'm not a magazine writer anymore, because there is no truth in conventional media. You're going to find truth with independent guys and gals on social media like me that give you information, and based on the things that they find that they like, which, you know, it stinks that here I am showing you a bag you can't get anymore, the rifle EDC by US Palm, with chest rig you can't get anymore, unless of course you find this on eBay and this on eBay in a used condition, and then you don't really know what you're buying. So what I say to people is simple. As you guys know, I like running the IC-13 bandolier, but that is more of an active shooter, active killer kind of a response thing. Wearing it for a very protracted period of time can wear you out because it's going across one shoulder as opposed to being a load-bearing system. So I want people to understand it is phenomenal. I love the thing. I still have it. I love it. However, when you're wearing something for a long period of time, you want a proper chest rig, a proper backpack, load-bearing equipment to spread the weight of things off your shoulders as much as possible. So, as always, I thank you guys for watching, because even though this channel is not monetized, this channel draws interest to my website for slings and other things that I sell, and it keeps food on the table. So I thank you guys for supporting me at tier1citizen.com. As always, I thank you guys for watching this video. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.